Hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up about the Physics 103 midterm for this semester. I don't want you to be too anxious about it, so I wanted to go over what it is and what will be on it so that you can feel good coming in to take that on Monday. First, the quick facts about it's during normal lab time. It's more of a quiz or a test than a midterm. It just happens to be in the middle of the semester, so we call it a midterm. It's on paper, so you don't need to bring a computer with you. We're going to pass it out to you, and you'll write it in on paper and then turn it in. You may need a calculator for some of the calculations because obviously if we're doing some dividing to find density or something like that, then we might want a calculator to do that. I can provide calculators, but you can also bring one of your own. It is open lab book, so you can bring your lab book with you. And honestly, I think a lot of the material is in the, if not all of the material you'd need to know is in the lab book, but we're going to be applying that a little bit in the quiz. It is individual, not in partners. Now, there's a reason for that. Part of that is the obvious of I want to know what you know, but the other part of that is that I want to know uh, I want it to be fair to those that don't have a partner, or maybe groups that have sometimes has to switch partners. So I want to just make sure it's individual just so that it's fair to all involved. Now, what do you need to know on this test? First, you need to know manipulated and independent variable, okay? And that's going to be from the appendix, from the pre-reading, from the first lab. This is going to be the basics when we talk about independent variable. And the other one would be dependent variable. So you need to be able to identify in an experiment what the manipulated or independent variable is and what is the responding or dependent variable. You also need to know the difference between extrapolation and interpolation. Now, both of those are about how we use data that we have to make a prediction for data that we don't have. But extrapolation is when we look at data that's not in the middle of our data, that's out in the extremes, and interpolation is when we look at data that's inside of our data. Check your book. There's definitely some more detail on that. You need to be able to determine the precision of instruments. So obviously, we use the appropriate levels of precision in class. And what that means is if you're using your meter stick to measure something, that's going to give you a different specified precision than if you used, say, a caliper. That could be a little bit more fine-tuned. You need to know your metric prefixes like kilo and centi and deci. And then you also need to know the exponential multipliers. In other words, you should know that kilo means 1,000 meters or 10 to the third. You should be able to measure with a caliper, and I know that is something that we spent a lot of time in the lab trying to make sure we could use the caliper to tell our precision down as many decimal places as possible. There'll be one that you're going to use to actually measure something during the quiz. You're going to need to be able to measure with a meter stick and a balance as well, and those will be provided for you. You just need to be able to use them to get your measurements. You need to be able to calculate volume, density, and percentage of error and gravity. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways that we can calculate each of those, but we're going to provide you some formulas on the test, and the other formulas, if you are stuck, they can be found in your lab book. Understand the relationship of period, time, mass, amplitude, length in a pendulum. Okay, so there's going to be a couple questions that deal with, hey, if this is the time that it takes for 10 swings of a pendulum, what is the period of that pendulum? And you need to understand that relationship. Again, if you get stuck and you just freeze, just know that those formulas are also in your textbook. That is it. Okay, it's not meant to be a killer midterm. It's meant to be kind of a good one. It's just to reset us and feel like we are taking stock of everything we've learned and the skills that we've gained at this point in the semester. I'll see you on Monday. Good luck.